Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma here, and as the title already gives it away, obviously this is a movie review, which is what I do most weekends, and it is the new Marvel movie, The Marvels. So we shall bang this up here. So people who don't know, been hiding under the rock, Marvel movies have been, we're at what, 33 now. So this is the second Captain Marvel movie where we follow the story of Carol Danvers. But due to a set of circumstances, she ends up being intertwined with Captain Rambeau, who we met in WandaVision, who was her character was previously in the first Captain Marvel movie, and Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan from the Miss Marvel TV series. The powers become intertwined, and it's them trying to figure out what's going on as they kind of are facing, as you know from the trailer, and kind of evil Kree warlord type emperor. It's a bit vague on kind of who she is and what she does and stuff like that. That is the basic gist of this movie. It is kind of self-contained. It does spread out across the galaxy, but there are reasons for stuff. The after credit scenes, there's one at the very end of the movie, which is a little bit strange of what Marvel have done, and there's one mid credits. There's nothing at the end, which is a bit strange. I don't know what they've done that for. And was it a Marvel-less movie? I must admit I was pleasantly surprised. I will give it that. It has a lot of good things going for it. It is no way near a perfect Marvel movie, but it is a good, enjoyable, kind of self-contained story. Has a lot of twisting elements and stuff. Some I didn't think were that great. Some were really good, and it obviously leads us on to the end bits of future possibilities for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think this movie has taken time, taken care, and it may be the fact that we're just a bit overdrained with everything and our expectations are low, and this movie isn't necessarily the most amazing, but because it's average to a little bit above average, it sits in there. Pardon me. So we'll get the spoiler warning up and we shall get into it. So a full synopsis of what happens is we have basically this warlord character. She is from Hala, which is where the Kree are from, which is obviously the people who kidnapped Carol Danvers in the first place. Unfortunately, after the events of Captain Marvel 1, she destroyed their intelligence, and unfortunately that ended up damaging their son. And they are running out of breathable air, water, and a lot of things. So this kind of conqueror, because I think because Ronan was the kind of position before her, which this woman has then taken on. He's out there looking for some power. She's looking for some special bracelets. She finds one at the very beginning, and it can open basically kind of wormholes from one point to another. She's used as a hammer to do it, and basically she then goes on a mission to worlds linked to Carol Danvers, and she's nicking the kind of natural resources. She goes for the air first, and then she goes for the water, and then she wants the sun. Bang, bang, bang. Very simple. While this is happening, because she finds this bracelet, it is one of a set. Sorry, the second one is owned by Miss Marvel herself, which her gran gave her, and because of Miss Marvel's powers, Captain Marvel's, and Captain Rambeau's powers, they're all powers that are kind of light-based and all intertwined, and as she uses this bracelet to open its warp hole and kind of cause a instability, it kind of then links the superheroes' powers all together, that the fact of when one uses it, they swap places with the other. This is, as the film kind of sets off, and the trailer shows you quite a bit. It shows quite a lot of earlier on stuff, which I quite liked. So you had the three characters kind of intermittently switching. Obviously, Fury is kind of the common link to them, so he comes into this quite a bit. Did quite like Fury, I must admit, after the debacle that was Secret Invasion. It was nice to see him kind of a little bit back to himself, kind of a little bit back to himself. Some of his jokes went on par, but I thought he was all right. So there you go. So you had the three. Pardon me again. You had the three super heroines, so to speak, all fighting, or all linking their powers. Then they all kind of come together and realise, obviously, that they've got to stay together, and that this conqueror is after all these other planets. And it is their mission to stop them. You have Kamala Khan's family kind of get pulled on with Fury into the space station, which is outside of Earth, which we know he was kind of in space anyway. Goose plays quite a pivotal role in it as well, which is quite good to see him obviously return from the first one. And his character development, his stuff is quite interesting. And this is just basically the story of, it's kind of a self-contained story. Apart from these characters, you get to meet one other kind of main Marvel character within the original story, except for the end bits, and that is Theresa Thompson. So Valkyrie. She makes a kind of appearance when you have the Skrull there, which unfortunately Skrull's world is one of them that they nicked the atmosphere for to get back to Hala. And this is kind of the whole sum, I feel, of this movie. It is a very self-contained movie. It's thrown a lot of different elements, and they're trying to be a little bit more, I say, grounded in a very varied universe, so to speak, by the different worlds that they go to. Obviously features a little bit the Skrulls in the first one. You have the second world where they sing, and obviously Captain Marvel is a princess. I was a bit at first like, the singing is a little bit weird and all this stuff, but then when they started to get into it, and I did very much, I'm quite a big fan of Camilla Khan, the MCU character, and I like the fact that the actress, her and Rambo are dancing around, and and I thought those were funny. Those elements were really, really funny and worked really well for this. It was nice to have a crossover of characters that you probably would never have put together. But again, that worked really well. I don't know if it was deliberately done for female empowerment, but I didn't see it as that. You have Fury and you have a few other characters in there. But obviously it's mainly a woman-centric cast, and the main characters are all more or less women, except for Fury and stuff. Didn't bother me in the slightest. Just putting it out there just in case. I'm sure somebody might see that as a thing. But yeah, it was just good to see that they all kind of have issues going into there, and this is kind of them developing their powers progress from the start of the movie to there. They have internal issues. Obviously Rambo was a very young girl when Carol Danvers left in the first movie. They've not connected. Her mum died, and they kind of need to build that bridge, and that happens there. The same with Rambo's powers kind of progress a little bit. Same with Carol Danvers, figures out she can do a bit more with her powers than she has done. Pardon me, very gassy today, sorry. So it was very much a kind of progression of these characters. I did really like it a lot. So we'll go with the elements that I did like this. As I say, I did like all the actors together. I really liked the Camilla Khan character, and the fight scenes and stuff worked really well. How they had her sliding on stuff and kicking and that, and all of them. It was filmed very, very well. The CGI, again, really, really well. From the last kind of Marvel film, I can remember Quantumania, there might have been one after it, but the mess that the CG is from that, well, this was out of space and stuff, and actually I didn't once notice any issues with them. The fact that I know it's mostly green screen of them. And this is where you constantly have characters like Camilla Khan was here, then it's Captain Marvel, then it's Captain Rambo, and you're constantly changing stuff, but you couldn't, it was done really well. It wasn't seen like bad CGI. So it was really good that, I know they've had problems with the prop teams and stuff, they've obviously put their full resources behind this movie, and that does come through. So Goose, I like the fact they bring him in. I know I've not been too specific on the details because obviously I don't want to give too much away. I did really like what they did with Goose and stuff, and how his character developed and helped out a little bit. I'm not saying any more. And that's my dog downstairs, apologies. The things I didn't much like, and then I'll go to the after the end bit scenes at the end. So things I did like, the Conqueror kind of woman, wasn't a big fan of her. She was kind of like an evil Khaleesi type one, how she looked. Her motives you could kind of see, but it was kind of seen as almost like an afterthought. I thought she was very weak as a bad guy. Like if they had probably had Ronan, and Ronan was doing it and seen more even though she was seen as powerful because she could absorb powers with one of the bracelets, I don't know, with her it just seemed very weak. It's like villain of the week just to have somebody for Lee's to fight. I'd say the rest of them worked really well, and the elements and that. I say the singing world, I wasn't I was a bit surprised when they added that in, but I know they're trying to maybe keep this a bit more toned down friendly. Obviously, the theme of Miss Marvel's TV series and stuff like that is a little bit more, kids are sort of into the musical stuff like this, and it may be more to please them. And I say I did like it as time goes on. It just was a bit like, why have you done that? But then I thought, if you have every world that's really dark and gruesome and or terrifying and that, it doesn't really come across that great. But overall, I am going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. Before I go into the bonus stuff and that I do think this is a nice breath of fresh air for the series. It has been a while since Captain Marvel 1 and stuff, and knowing the gaps between it. So there was the whole of her destroying the Central Intelligence and stuff on Kree, and that I kind of forgot she did that. She might have done it in the end of 1. I can't remember. If you do, let me know in the comments below if I've missed something there. But I thought it was a nice, you got to meet these characters, you got to gel more with them, they got to kind of interconnect and stuff. And I think that worked really well. As I say, it was a self-contained story except for the Tess Thompson thing, and it worked really well. It was kind of like having a TV series, but compiled TV series, and it worked. As I say, I don't really have much bad to say about this. So there is that, and then we will get on to the 2 bits. So at the very end of the film, before the credits roll, Kamala Khan steps into what was Nick Fury in Iron Man 1. Kate Bishop comes home, she opens the door, and Kamala Khan is in the dark, and then she kind of does her, I've got a team, got a plan, and I know all about you, and Bishop smiles. I thought that was a little weak. I get what they were going for, they were kind of trying to get back to Nick Fury and her, but obviously she's kind of jokey and funny, and she does mean the same. I really would have liked her to maybe been, because of who she is and having the technology, it would have been really nice if maybe been on a forum, or a superhero or something, saying I'm looking for superhero friends or something, and then have Kate Bishop has sent you a friend request or something. It really, something like that. A hint of it would be really good. I saw what they were trying to do to me. I don't think it worked, and I think that would be a bit more, something along the lines that would have worked much better. Anyway, but it is what it is. It's nice to have it. It's good to see that they're now teasing. If you haven't seen, it'll be the Young Avengers, which I spoke about before in a previous video. Kamala Khan does mention Stature, Cassie Lang, which we've already seen from Ant-Man in Quantumania. So we have 3 women. Obviously, depending on how they go, obviously Wiccan and Speed we have met in WandaVision, but they're from alternate realities, so I don't know how they'll play that. Patriot we have seen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, but he hasn't seemed to have powers, so I don't know if these girls will be the Triforce, kind of the leading team, and then the guys and other female characters that they may join will come in. Who knows? But I look forward to see that. I do like the Kamala Khan character. I do like Kate Bishop. Cassie Lang, I think she's okay. I look forward to where they go with that one. Anyway, and then the next one when we met after the credits, which has been out on the internet, which I read or I think AJ sent me something about this, and yeah, so basically Captain Rambeau sacrifices herself to save this kind of portal that gets opened at the very end of the movie, and then she gets trapped in what would be another realm or dead, or we never know, and basically she wakes up, and then Hank McCoy, Fraser Crane, Kelsey Grammer is there talking to her, and basically the actress who plays her mother in her reality is sitting next to her, but she actually plays the X-Men binary. And then obviously Captain Rambeau realises that she's in another dimension, and then this opens up the X-Men. So it's an interesting story that they went through. I mean, when I heard this, I thought Kelsey Grammer should come back and play a Dark Beast, and then she's kind of kidnapped in another world, and you could have kind of dark mutants from an alternate reality come into our reality, and then it would bring out the X-Men, and then you would have this story, kind of Age of Apocalypse style, but not, it's something different, because with the X-Men it's always the Jean Grey recycling that we get so many often, and I think, twice, 2 iterations of it already. They need to do something different. Dark Beast, and I think would have been a nice thing. Kelsey Grammer, I think, would have played the role quite well. Obviously he's getting a bit of praise with his new series and stuff, so or not praise, or it's been hyped up. I've not seen or heard anything from it, but the fact they brought it back and it was quite a iconic series, it's interesting to go. but I mean, it confirms that obviously Rambo, she is alive in alternate reality, so maybe there's a link there. Maybe Doctor Strange will go into it, who knows. But yeah, overall, a good movie, better than average movie from Marvel this time. It's good to see. I think they had most points on it. Some bits didn't resonate with me, but not a lot overall. I find it hard, and yes, you probably think there's not too much in it, but I rate it 6.1 because it's a franchise movie. I don't, there's no way this movie would be a 10 because there's so much. You would have to watch the whole Miss Marvel series, WandaVision, and Captain Marvel at least one to get in a process of this movie, and I don't think that's a fair assumption or assessment of it. But anyway, I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time. Hope you enjoyed this review of the Marvels movie. Have you seen it? Please let me know in the comments below. Obviously, if you're going to put something that spoils, please put a spoiler before it, because I don't want anybody reading the comments who hasn't seen this to be ruined. And I shall see you in the next one.